Aloha Malahini. Welcome, stranger, to the Hawaiian port of Honolulu on the island of Oahu. Here is an exotic oasis in the vast water desert of the Pacific, the year-round home of the month of May and the art of play. The rugged promontory of Diamond Head looks down on famed Waikiki Beach. Here on the wave-washed strands of powdered sugar sands can be seen the traditional sports of the islands. A few square feet of canvas on an outrigger canoe transforms an old Polynesian pastime into a modern diversion. These craft, hollowed from a solid trunk of koa wood, a native mahogany, are fitted with wooden pegs and lashings of cord, where if a single piece of metal were to rust or cause decay, the entire hull would have to be replaced. A gentle trade breeze blowing through a cloudless sky can suddenly veer to a violent Kona wind from the south. So handling one of these heavy-shelled canoes is no task for an amateur. It requires a special brand of South seamanship to maneuver through the white crest of the combers and avoid the jagged tusks of the coral reefs. A misstroke of the stern paddle or a faulty balance could mean a drenching or maybe disaster. Or, like any primitive sport, there is ever present that tingling element of danger. Here in Hawaii, the sports of the people reflect their temperament. Simple, direct, and unencumbered by the frills and fripperies of more civilized contests. A sport like body surfing requires no equipment save a sturdy swimming stroke and a speaking acquaintance with love. Regulation port has no more boundaries than the ocean. It's man against the sea. The rules are simple. Swim out to where the swells are piling up into waves, catch the crest of a comber, and ride it onto the beach at 30 miles an hour. Simple. Yes, but let the swimmer get into the trough of the waves ahead of the crest, and tons of breaking water are liable to crash down on his head and pound him under. Here is no sport for the swimming pool athlete. There's only skill between a thrill and a slightly broken neck. Probably best known of all wave riding sports is surfboarding, the gentle art of striding a streamlined ironing board while a breaker pushes you from the bay to the beach in nothing flat. The boards are carved from a solid slab of wood or built up of laminated strips and vary in weight from 50 to 100 pounds. Here is a sport that is typically Hawaiian, and the Malahini, or newcomer, is usually as familiar with the picture of this island pastime as he is with the hula. But it's by no means as simple as it looks on the travel posters. The first thing to do is to paddle out and find an incoming wave, a gentle swell that looks like it is gathering up enough steam to be a big breaker. There are 4 waves which carry the rider to the shore, and the transfer from the first to each of the 3 succeeding waves is made without slackening speed and with the board at an almost horizontal angle. When the board is in the proper riding position, on the slope of the wave just ahead of the crest, the surf buster assumes his stance. He is well back on the board, up-tilting the bow so as to present as little surface as possible to the water. This allows him to plane forward with a minimum of friction or drag. Using the feet as a rudder and shifting the weight of the body keeps the proper direction and balance and prevents the surfboarder from doing a back 1.5 into the drink. The simple pleasures of our Pacific territory were mainly derived for individual participation. But one Hawaiian sport that calls for interdependent teamwork, a primary element in most American games, is canoeing. These outrigged craft are tricky things to handle, and perfect coordination between each paddle is essential. The boats themselves are of the traditional native design, built for swift passage in boiling surf. To select the proper wood, cure it, and fashion it by hand into a seaworthy piece of sporting equipment may take as long as 10 years. A paddle out of cadence or a sudden shift of balance, and the canoe would be smashed to mahogany flinders on the relentless coral. So caution is the question, and teamwork is the answer. To the Hawaiian, riding a surfboard is as easy as rolling off a log. So the novice learns just that way. Sliding the board across a log spindle simulates any motion of the surf and demands a steady equilibrium from this cute keiki wahine to keep from landing flat on her mahopilani. This youngster is on his way to the wildest waves in Waikiki, for it's little Georgie Kapu, veteran surfboarder at the age of 5, and as well known in the islands as Diamond Head. The preliminary paddling may look easy, but even that takes a strong back and plenty of practice. There's not much of them, but a little can go a long way on a surfboard. After about 2 weeks of diligent effort, even the visitor from the mainland can master the technique of hitting the beach on a board without swallowing too much of the Pacific Ocean. But this tandem trip calls for the utmost in skill and counterpoise. Riding high on a surfboard requires a fine sense of balance and a flair for acrobatics. It takes a certain amount of skill to hold one of these prancing planks to the crest of a comber that may attain the height of 15 feet before it breaks. But the first lesson is always caution. And here the primary rule is never let go of the board. To loosen one's grip is to be at the mercy of 100 heavy pounds of falling koa wood and a seething ton of white water. But skill is only a matter of time, and time in the islands is as plentiful as the waves. It takes more than skill to be a sportsman of the surf. It takes blood that tingles at the thunder of a rolling feather of foam, at the warm, subtle caress of the tropic sun, and the champagne taste of the wind-drifted spray. But the only talent that's really essential to any sport in Hawaii is an infinite capacity for enjoying one. That is the inspiration that sends these people out to where the breakers are born. That is the spirit that frolics them back to the beach on the wide white shoulders of the waves. But the exhilaration of pure sport gives no heed to the hours, as night, with a sunset brush, paints the first delicate coats of dusk over the tropic seascape. So long as there is a surf on the islands, there will be sport. So long as there are winds that ruffle the southern seas into combers to wash the pearly margin of Waikiki Beach, there will be sportsmen to ride the crest.